All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the KRV Yu-Gi-Oh channel. Today I'm just going to be kind of going over some test hands, kind of seeing what we can cook up. One of the things is I have sort of like the hardcore standard lines as far as Mermail Atlantean down. The super standard ones I kind of have at least relatively figured out. It's just more so when we don't draw the exact opening lines is where I get a little bit confused. I also have a little bit of trouble remembering like where to set things on the field because that's so important with this deck. When you're summoning monsters and what zones that you want to keep open for future plays, that's kind of a struggle that I've been having. So we're going to see if we can cook something up and get everything set up correctly. I'm not going to be editing this video at all, so hopefully everything goes smoothly. So yeah, we're going to obviously assume that our opponent has nothing. We're going to assume they have no interruptions, and we're going first, because most of the time if we win the die roll, we're going to be going first, and obviously it's kind of hard to assume what an imaginary opponent would set up on the field. So let's go ahead and grab our first hand here. We'll set this to the side. One of the bad habits, I don't know about you guys, but when I'm doing test hands, I always shuffle my deck in between searches like a million times, even though we don't have an opponent where it really matters that much. Okay, so we're opening up Shadow Squad, Teus, Neptibus, Triana, and the Deep Sea Diva. So this is a really good, really amazing hand, actually. This is a great hand. You don't necessarily want to see the Triana necessarily in your opening hand because of the fact that it is searchable. But I mean, I guess you don't necessarily hate it. So in this situation, we got to kind of assume we don't have Minstrel, so we can't really see if our opponent doesn't or has or doesn't have an interruption, because if we summon the Diva, if it gets ashed, I guess it doesn't necessarily super matter that much because of the fact that we do have the Teus, so we can kind of follow up and not have to depend on normal summoning Neptibus in this situation, which is really good. So in this case, I feel like we're a lot more free to kind of summon the Deep Sea Diva. I guess it might be better to summon her right here, and then if they do have the Ash, we can just go Teus, send the Shadow Squad. Sort of as the follow-up to be able to get Neptibus out on the field. But again, we're assuming that our opponent has nothing, so we're going to act like as if Diva's going to resolve, even though we all know anybody that plays water, you're never, ever, 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 ever going to resolve Diva. It's always going to get ashed. Everybody knows that once you summon Deep Sea Diva, it auto-generates the ash onto the field. I'm sitting here trying to find the platinum rare Neptibus that I have, but I forgot it's literally already in my hand. So we'll just go ahead and summon out this one, and then we'll activate Neptibus's effect to send the Shadow Squad to the graveyard, and then we'll go ahead and add a copy of Dragoons. Then Shadow will resolve, and that'll special out our Pike. Once Pike is set to the field, we'll go ahead and send Dragoons, and then we'll add Shrine to our hand. And then off the Dragoons, we'll add Moulin Glacia. So it seems like at this point, we're kind of just going for the standard Mermail play because of the fact that we got the perfect hand for it. So from here, our hand is still cooking. We're going to go ahead and do the Shrine, sending Neptibus. Get that to the graveyard. And then I have the Teus in my hand, so I don't necessarily want to summon the Teus here, or add the Teus. A lot of times I'm adding Teus, but in this case, because we have the Teus, we'll just go ahead and search the Coelacanth, and we'll special summon that onto the field. And then Neptibus's effect will trigger, which will special summon the Dragoons to the field. So from here... So one of the things that I'm having troubles with personally is kind of my monster placement when I'm creating boards, especially the first turn, because a lot of times I'm blocking like my Coral Anemone, and I'm just not thinking I'm not thinking as ahead as I should be. With this deck and pretty much any deck in Yu-Gi-Oh, you want to be able to kind of, especially when you're doing combos, you really want to try and be at least 2 or 3 steps ahead of the current step that you're on. And that's something that I kind of struggle with. That's kind of one of my big areas where I'm trying to improve on. So in this case, like, we want to have Coral Anemone either here or here. So it kind of depends on where we're going to set this up. So I might just set up my Bahamut Shark up here. I think that's going to be the way we're going to do this. So we got Bahamut Shark there. We got 3 waters in the grave. We need obviously 5 for Neptibus, so we need to be aware of that as well. We're going to detach the Bahamut Shark, and then we're going to go ahead and special summon out our Toad, and we'll put it right underneath here. Because I think the plan is we'll just go ahead and link off the Bahamut Shark and the Diva to give us that open spot for the Shadow Squad over here. So now we'll be able to search for Dragoons. We have the Moulin Glacia in hand, right? Let me double check. We do. We have the Moulin Glacia in the hand. So here we can either like go ahead and add, we cannot add Dragoons obviously because Dragoons cannot search Dragoons, which sometimes I forget about. So we can either add Megalo here. Let's take a look at our hand again. So we have Neptibus, but we already used her effect to special summon. We have the Teus, so we can extend a little bit more off of that. We have the Moulin Glacia. We already did Shadow Squad effect. So Megalo in this situation probably isn't going to be the best search, just because the effects that we're sending to the graveyard we've already kind of used. So what we could do here is either add the Minstrel and kind of just get an idea of what our opponent is playing, which is probably gonna be the play here. Because if not, I would probably just add the infantry. So this is kind of like going down different corridors, so we can either get information on our opponent's hand and see what they're doing for their turn, or we can kind of set up our plays on our opponent's turn with the infantry. But I think in this case, I'm probably... Let's take another look through the deck here. I think the best play is going to be adding the Minstrel, just because we want to be able to get information on our opponent's hand. The only thing that's a bummer about this is you're obviously sending the Minstrel as well as the a second card, and you're kind of diminishing your hand. But another thing we got to be conscious of is we have 4 waters in the graveyard. We need 5 for Moulin Glacia. So if we activated Minstrel right now, we wouldn't be able to drop our Moulin Glacia. So we got to be conscious of that. So because of that, what I think I'm going to end up doing is I might actually just send the Minstrel for Teus here. Ooh, see, this is kind of where I get hung up with this deck. So this is kind of the whole point of why I made this YouTube channel, is because in these situations, what would you guys do? If you're watching this video and you're at this point here, you got this set up on your field, you got 4 waters engraved, you got to make a decision about whether you're going to do the Minstrel and just kind of forego your... You know what I could do, actually, though, is... Let's just give this a shot. So this could not work, but that's kind of the whole point in doing these. No, because if I did that, then I would have the 3 waters engraved. That would be the dumbest thing ever. Why would I do that? Okay. I think the play here is just to go Teus. But at this point, I mean, I guess we can just put the Shadow Squad into the graveyard because we do have the Triana, so we could ultimately just shuffle it back into the deck later on. So it's not the worst thing. So I guess we can just kind of do... you know what? Let's give this a shot. So we're going to do Teus sending Minstrel. And we'll special summon that over here. And then Teus will allow us to search. In this situation, I'll probably go with Gund. And I'll add Gun to hand. And then from here, I'll probably obviously special summon Moulin Glacia. So we'll be able to rip 2 cards out of our opponent's hand. And then here, I'll link off the Bahamut Shark and the Diva to open up this space for the Coral Anemone. So we'll go ahead and do that. We'll get Coral Anemone out of the field. We'll activate Coral Anemone's effect to special summon out our Shadow Squad. And then here we're in another little bit of a pickle because we want to discard to make our level 7s, and we would love to do is discard Gund so that we could special summon something from the graveyard. In this situation, we could special summon the Pike to maybe potentially set up our second Toad because we do have the spell card in our hand. But obviously we don't have any room to kind of special summon from the graveyard. So from here, I might just consider just pitching the squad right here, because I can always pitch off the gun on something else. Okay, so this is one area right here where I always forget. Sometimes I will literally forget that these are all level 7s, and I'll just go, I'll literally go over this for the Gaios. And then it's like I almost like forget that you can just use 3 level 7s to make this. Sometimes I'll just do the Gaios. I'll do the 2 for the Gaios and then overlay the Atlantean over the top of it. But in this situation, what I might just do, I think the play might be, is to overlay the Teus and the Muling Glacia for Poseidra straight away. And then from here, I'll link off these guys, right? And then we'll go ahead and special out Neptibus, the link monster. And then we'll use the effect of the Poseidra to pitch the Gund. I'm not sure about the timing on this. That's another thing. So we pitch the Gund. So we'll resolve that. We'll special summon. I guess this over here. And then we'll special summon. And then we will special summon the Minstrel over here. So now we're kind of screwed because our gun can't resolve, and we can't like bring Teus back, which is kind of a bummer. But I guess it's not necessarily the worst deal in the world. So I think from here we'll overlay into La Virtue Dragon, search our trap, add our trap to the hand, and then we will sort of detach. We want to make sure we detach. I guess it doesn't matter. They're both squads. So we'll detach, and then I guess we'll add back Dragoons to our hand, I'm assuming. I think, well, you know what? We have the Triana, but I guess we don't have another way of getting a level 4 up here, at least that I'm seeing. So the Dragoons might be the play here. I think that's going to be... Dragoons is always great. We want to get that back to the hand. So from here, see, I removed the Armored Shark and the and this guy. I removed this guy from my shaking the camera. But I took this guy out, and I took out the Armored Shark just because I just kind of felt like I kind of value the deck's consistency to be able to get good hands over prioritizing one part of one combo, you know what I mean? If that makes sense. This card is good. Armored Shark is obviously good as well. I mean, I'm kind of just testing between them, but my thought process is just the fact that, like, the Armored Shark in this card is great because you can set up your second Toad, obviously, but this situation is where you kind of really miss that card. And now I'm a little bit lost. I forgot where I was at. Okay, so I just made this. I detached. I added Dragoons. Okay, so from here, what do we do here? I'm kind of blanking out a little bit. This is not good, not good, not good. So we have 7, 8, 9, 10. I guess, is this just any water? What is this? 1 water tuner plus 1 non-tuner monster. Okay, so I mean, technically we could just link these guys, right? This is a 7, 8, 9, 10. So we could just synchro these guys into this. And okay, I definitely didn't do the best play in the world. I think that's pretty obvious. I'm pretty sure I could have made this a lot better than what it came out to be. So we can set our Virtue Stream. I guess I could, I mean, I technically could just bring back something, Dragoons here, to link these off to make the Abyss Lacia. I could do that, but it just seems kind of like a waste of the spell card and a waste of the... Actually, I don't even know if I have a Dragoons Engrave anymore because of the fact that I added it back. Yeah. I mean, I could just do that with Pike, I guess. That works as well. In this situation, I definitely wish I had infantry because on my opponent's turn, if I had the infantry in my hand, I'd be more inclined to bring back Abyss Lacia because then obviously on my opponent's turn, I could discard to destroy and interrupt on my opponent's turn. But in this situation, I just don't think we did exactly the best possible play. I think we used a lot of resources to not necessarily put up the... I mean, it's still a pretty good board. So these would go to the graveyard, and we'll special this out. So I get, yeah, okay. I guess it's not the worst. It's not the worst thing to end on in the world by any stretch of the imagination. But I think this could have been a lot better considering how broken our hand was. I think we could have easily summoned out a second Toad if I would have just kind of thought a little bit more. But yeah, so that's kind of the things that we're working on is kind of just trying to identify when we can. It's just trying to stay ahead of the deck. So you want to try and stay ahead, as far ahead in your plays as you possibly can. In that situation, I don't think we did a super great job. I'm sure we could have probably done something a little bit better there. So kind of another thing about making these videos is I like to go back and watch them, because I don't know about you guys, but I'm sure when you guys watch other people make these sort of videos, the whole time you're screaming at your monitor, you're like, do this, do this, do that. And I'm the same way. I just try and keep it out of the comments because, you know, everybody's trying to learn and everybody's trying to be better. I guess that's kind of the whole point of not only this game, but doing these types of things. So let's go ahead and try and do this one more time. Might be a little bit of a longer video. If you're watching it, I appreciate it. By the way, so I just started this channel. I got a subscriber, which is insane. So I already have 1 subscriber. I think the deck profile is rolling right at around 55 views or something like that, which is pretty crazy. That's about 55 more views than I thought I was going to get. I might actually be like 10 of them, but that's okay. So let's go ahead and see what we can cook up on another hand here. See if we can improve on that one a little bit. So again, I took out that Armored Shark because I wanted a little bit more consistency. I also added Tidal, which I'm just kind of playing around with this card because it is really good, but it's like you really, sometimes you gotta, I mean, it's not, there's some cards in your graveyard that you really don't care about that you can banish, and it's kind of nice to have something that you can count on coming back onto the field. But for right now, we're just kind of playing around with it to see how we like it. So far, I don't mind it, but it's definitely not as like broken as I would think it would be. So again, we're going to assume we're going first, and we're going to assume our opponent has nothing. So let's go ahead and see what our opening hand looks like. So we got Moulin Glacia. You don't necessarily want to see this in your opening hand because of the fact that it's so searchable. But I also kind of like being able to use my Dragoons for more utility, kind of things that are gonna, you know, just kind of give me a little bit more value as far as if I already have this, like there's other cards I'd love to have around it. So I don't hate having Moulin Glacia in my opening hand. We got Minstrel, we got Pike, we got Dragoons, we got Infantry. So that's actually a really great hand. This is actually a really good hand because we're going to be able to send the Minstrel as well as the Dragoons and just kind of get information on our opponents. I'm going to see if I can keep the graveyard in camera. So we're going to be able to see what our opponent has. We're going to say, oh, you have an Ash, get that Ash out of here. And then we'll go ahead and activate or resolve our Dragoons. So we'll add the Neptibus to our hand. We'll normal summon the Neptibus. And then we will send the Shadow Squad to the graveyard. We'll add our Dragoons. Where are you at? You're right here. We'll add that to our hand. And then Shadow Squad will resolve and give us our Pike. So we'll special summon out Pike. Once Pike hits the field, we'll send our Dragoons. We'll add Abyss Shrine. And then we already have our Moulin Glacia. So from here, we can kind of add something a little bit different. In this situation, I might just add the Infantry. Since we already did the Minstrel, we already have Moulin Glacia in our hand. Oh, and I also added Marksman because there's certain situations where I really just want this card so bad, so I figured I might as well just play one. Again, we're just testing, so who knows, might make them not make... Oh, you know what? We have the Infantry in our hand already, so that's actually pretty good. Maybe I just do add the Marksman, as a matter of fact. Maybe I just do that. Maybe I just add Marksman. We'll just add Marksman. It's not the worst thing you can have in your hand. We got enough discard outlets where it'll be live. So we'll add these cards to our hand. So our hand is still looking really good. From here, we'll do the Shrine on Neptibus. That's going to put 6 waters in our grave, and then Neptibus is going to do that special summon. So from here, you know what? On the last hand, I never actually did resolve the Coelacanth. That's exactly what I forgot to do. We summoned this guy, but we never used his effect. That's what I missed. That's what I messed up on. There we go. So that'll special summon, and then Neptibus will resolve to special summon our Dragoons. Then we have the 5 waters in grave, I believe. Yep, we got the 5 waters in grave. So from here, we can go ahead and special summon out our Moulin Glacia. From here, we can overlay for our Bahamut Shark. Everything's starting to get a little bit crazy over here. So we'll overlay for our Bahamut Shark. And then we'll detach, boop, to the graveyard. So we can special summon out our Toad. And then, did I already search off the Dragoons? No, I just detached this Dragoon, so I can add another Sea Serpent. If I mess that up, oh well, I cheated against nobody, my bad. I think in this case, we'll kind of just start thinking about next turn. I could add Megalo here, but because this is first turn, we have nothing to really pop, and we obviously don't really want to send. So we're not going to add Megalo. So I think our best case is kind of look towards the next turn and just add another copy of Neptibus. It's probably going to be the play right there. Again, if you guys think you would add something else or you see something you would do differently, please feel free to reach out in the comments and let me know. So we'll add Neptibus. We already used the effect, so we'll go ahead and let's see. So I got 2 spots available on the board, right? So we got the Koalacanth. We got 2 spots here. So I think from this point, I would probably just send Pike to special summon 2 more Pikes out onto the field. So we'll get Pike number 1 here. And Pike number 2, where are you at? 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 You're in here somewhere. Oh, timeout. What am I missing here? Okay, so we got Pike here, and Pike here. Oh, that's right. We had one in our hand. Ooh, see? That's me not looking... That's me just not being as diligent as I should be. And we don't have another fish. So that was kind of a misplay. But we're going to keep it because, you know, I'm not going to learn very much if I just act as if I didn't make that mistake. So we'll just keep it as is. So yeah, not the best play there. So from here, I got to think. I want to make Coral an enemy. Do I get rid of my Koalacanth or do I get rid of my Abyss Pike? I kind of want to keep a level 4 on the field just in case I do get the opportunity once I search out the spell card to make that second Toad. So I think from here, I'll just link summon the Koalacanth. I keep calling it Koalacanth, who knows. To special summon out our Anemone, and then Anemone effect will get Squad back out onto the field. Squad will go ahead and send the Marksman to make them all level 7s. We'll overlay. See, I could just go, but I want to have the level 4 on the field. So I think here I'll just go Abyss Gaios into the Dragon Lord. Is he even called the Dragon? Yeah, he is actually called the Dragon Lord. Sick. Okay, so then we'll just link these guys off. We'll go ahead and make the Neptibus. We're already kind of low on card count. In this situation, I want to keep Neptibus in my hand for the next turn, but I guess I could just recycle this. So I'll send this to special summon. We'll special boop, and then we will special boop right there. Just like that. So I think here I'll overlay... Oh, and then we'll resolve Neptibus to add this to our hand. That's a very important. That's an effect I constantly forget. So I'll add that. And then we'll go overlay here for La Virtue. Search the trap. Add that to our hand. And then I'll probably activate it on Dragoons. Bring that back. And then I can overlay these guys for the Bahamut. Detach the Bahamut. And then we can special summon out our second Toad here. And then we'll resolve Dragoons to add, I guess we can add, let's see. We have infantry in the graveyard already. I might just add Megalo, but I could add Shadow Squad, but I had nothing to detach for it. And I have Neptibus in hand, so I can send this to the graveyard next turn. So I think we might just add our good old friend Megalo here. This would just go to the graveyard. And then here we can link. We'll link these guys for you, have you there. And then from here, we can just set this right here and have that as an opening board. So we got something that we can work with on our next turn, as well as something that we can kind of get on the field and help us push a little bit further in our second play. And then the other thing is, I guess we have Shrine and Graveyard, but we have really nothing we want to pitch to the graveyard, but we do want to draw. Oh, you know what? right here, I need him. See, I want to make sure this is in the graveyard. This is a mistake I made. So I want to make sure this is in the graveyard. Oh, you know what? I can still do that. Oh, you know what? This is actually kind of perfect now that I'm thinking about it. So I can just detach this to add infantry back to my hand. And now we're way better off. There we go. So that's way better. So that's really good, actually. That ended up being pretty good. So yeah, not too bad. Still working out the kinks, still kind of figuring everything out. But, you know, I'm pretty happy with this. Again, we kind of opened up with the broken hands, assuming our opponent had nothing. Obviously, most of the time, your opponent is going to have some type of interruption. But overall, not too bad. I'm actually pretty happy with that. So, kind of sad. I mean, not sad. I'll take the broken hands anytime I can get them. But you know, not too bad. So I kind of want to keep making videos as these as I learn new things, as I kind of figure things out. So yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy this. If you guys were able to learn anything, that's cool. If you guys have anything you want to teach me, please reach out in the comments. I really do greatly appreciate it. If you saw anything you would do differently, same thing, you know, just throw it on down there. So, appreciate you guys watching this if you did make it this far, and thank you very much.